live on this Monday with 2 sets of rookies already at training camp. Pick number 32, Jadarian Price, and pick number 33, DeJon Stribling, already working out in Seattle and San Francisco. Glad you're here with us today. We got Mina Kimes, Ryan Clark, and Adam Schefter with you for the hour. Let's get right to it, you guys. After trading out of round 1, the 49ers took receiver DeJon Stribling with the first pick on day 2 of the draft. Now, Stribling coming off back-to-back 800-yard seasons at Oklahoma State and Ole Miss, and he turned heads at the combine. Remember this? He ran a sub-4.4 time in the 40-yard dash. Stribling joining a veteran receiving corps, which has a lot of talent, but also a lot of question marks. Tight end George Kittle tore his Achilles in January. Former first-round pick Ricky Pearsall missed half of last season. And new additions Mike Evans and Christian Kirk both had injury-plagued seasons for their previous team. So, Mina, you think about that group. Why do the 49ers feel like Stribling could make an impact on their roster?
Yeah, he's an interesting player, Laura, because you can kind of see why it's possible that the Niners valued him a bit more than other teams in the NFL, and the draft pick did take some folks by surprise. But when you dig into the tape, you know, playing at Ole Miss, the route tree is somewhat limited by the scheme, but you see a lot of the attributes that they want. You mentioned running that sub-4.4 40. He's 6'2", so that's a rare combination. He's also really tough. He's a good blocker, which again, very San Francisco 49ers coded, and he fits in, I think, with the players that they already have and that they added. Mike Evans is the true X. Ricky Pearsall I see as the Z. Stribling could play in the slot as like a big slot or just close to the formation. The other thing I find interesting is this Niners receiving group, and they spent 2 of the last 3 years, the top picks on receivers now. It's a bunch of older players who have had injuries, and then really, really young players, and not a lot in between. So, Ryan, it feels like they're almost trying to thread the needle of like competing now, but also trying to build for the future at the same time. Whether or not they can pull it off remains to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the one thing about Stribling, and I love that Mina mentioned it, was he's also a big body. And you bring over Mike Evans. I heard George Kittle talking about him throughout the offseason and how he couldn't be covered. He's obviously going to be a red zone target. And the one thing that Kyle Shanahan showed, at least me, is maybe it doesn't matter who's on the field. We're talking quarterback injuries, a wide receiver room that was ravaged by injuries, and you even lose George Kittle late, obviously, but we've watched him work through this. And so if they can get some help, and I feel like use Ricky Pearsall more the way they used to use Deebo Samuel, I think that would be a good piece. Now you add Stribling, a guy that can run, a guy that can block. He can do some of the things Juwan Jennings used to do when he played the slot, and then it all centers around Christian McCaffrey and his health, because he played at an MVP level, in my opinion, last year.
Well, see, what's interesting about this selection is there were some people that wondered if it was too early for DeJon Stribling to go. And yet there were a couple of teams that I spoke to in the draft process leading up to the draft that felt like DeJon Stribling was the best wide receiver in the draft. Another team, supposedly the Los Angeles Rams, had eyes on him. And so the 49ers didn't just come up with this pick out of nowhere. They knew that there were other teams that had a very high grade on Stribling when the 49ers declined to trade out of the top draft slot in the second round and take him there. And Mina, you mentioned the combination of older injured players and younger wide receivers. Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, both with points to prove in San Francisco. Former first-round draft pick Ricky Pearsall, and now DeJon Stribling. So there is an interesting blend of youth and experience there in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's interesting about the Rams. I mean, obviously, where they picked Ty Simpson would have been too early to take Stribling, but you wonder if they were like, oh, man, we wish the 49ers hadn't gotten him.
It was too early to take Simpson.
Well, I didn't say it, but you did, and you might be right. We're going to find out. Okay, so, Adam, we're talking about what this 49ers receiver room is going to look like, and given the departure of Juwan Jennings, and we mentioned the drama surrounding Brandon Aiyuk, it does look a lot different, but let's talk about Aiyuk for a second here. What's the latest there?
Well, we do know one wide receiver who will not be in San Francisco, and that's Brandon Aiyuk. However, he still remains on the reserve left squad list. And it is up to Brandon Aiyuk to force his way off that list. While he remains on there, he doesn't count against the 49ers roster. He doesn't count against their salary cap. He's essentially giving them a hall pass. But once he applies for reinstatement to the NFL, then you would figure he would be reinstated, the 49ers would release him, and he would become a free agent. But there are a couple of teams that have wondered out loud in recent weeks whether or not they think he wants to play. And that's a question only Brandon Aiyuk can answer. But I can tell you that teams have asked that question, but he is the one that can make things happen by simply applying for reinstatement, which to date I don't believe he has done.
All right, well, keep an eye on his social media. That's where some of the news seems to be dropping. And we're talking about 2 groups of rookies that are in camp. So that's the 49ers. How about the Seahawks, you guys? The final pick of round 1, the Seahawks took Notre Dame running back Jadarian Price, and Price could play a key role right away after Kenneth Walker left for the Chiefs and Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL in the playoffs. Head coach Mike McDonald, look at him run around out there. He was asked about how he planned to use his rookie running back after he made the pick back in April. Listen to this.
We're going to run wide zone, and he's going to run wide zone, and then we're going to run some some gap scheme. He's going to run some of that too, and then.
All right, so that sounds a lot like he's going to be an every down back. We hear McDonald talking about wide zone, gap scheme, run games. Is Price the right type of back, though, for that kind of offense?
Yeah, he's a perfect fit. It's easy to see why the Seahawks in particular coveted him and took him in the first round. Mike McDonald mentioned the wide zone, which was the kind of bedrock of the Seahawks run game. Price's ability to see the lane open, cut, and then explode is probably his strongest attribute as a back, and so fundamental to not just the Seahawks run game, but also the pass game that flows out of it. And I think there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for him. Something you saw happen last year with Seattle in the second half of the season was the run game improved dramatically, and a lot of that had to do with the way defenses played them. They were very poor running the football in the first half of the year, but a lot of that is because they faced the second most stacked boxes in the NFL. Then the second half of the season, defenses were like, let's stop that JSN guy. So stacked boxes dropped to an average level, and the run game flourished as a result. I think we're going to see something similar this season. And Ryan, to me, it's not surprising that they wanted Price so they could continue building on that success running the football.
Absolutely, and some of that too is about explosiveness. Nina, think about Jadarian Price and what he did in the kick return game at Notre Dame. You heard her say things about being able to stick his foot in the ground and get upfield. That's exactly what you see from a returner. And I feel like we'd be talking way more about Jadarian Price if the other running back in the room wasn't Jeremiah Love. This is a guy who I watched in person carry this team through parts of Notre Dame seasons 2 years ago. He can get down the field. He can catch the football. He can turn a short game into a long one. And that's what we saw Kenneth Walker do down the stretch last season for the Seattle Seahawks offense. Think about this. JSN and Cooper Kupp started that season, but we also saw a shift in defenses once they acquired Rashid Shaheed, who could take the top off of the defense. I think that this Seattle Seahawks team is being far underrated coming off of the Super Bowl because of what the Rams did. This offense is going to be difficult to stop, and we know what Mike McDonald and that defense are. This team will be in it until the end.
And they may be underrated, but they also have something to prove in that run game. And you heard Mike McDonald talk about all the ways they plan to use their first-round draft pick, Jadarian Price, which included catching passes out of the backfield. But what always has been the issue with rookie running backs across the league that has prevented them from playing more when they don't play as much as people expect? Pass protection. So can Jadarian Price pick up the pass protection that he needs to be on the field as often as the Seahawks want him on there? Or are they going to be forced to turn to a veteran running back like George Holani or Emmanuel Wilson, who they signed from Green Bay? Those are the options until they can get back Zach Sharpe later in the year from that significant knee injury that he suffered late last season.
Yeah, because of Jeremiah Love on that Notre Dame team, Jadarian Price did not start a single game in his college career with Notre Dame, so he will have a lot to pick up, but he also has fresh legs. To a developing story, Eagles running back Saquon Barkley and his family were victims of an attempted burglary at their home near Philadelphia early Saturday morning, according to the local police department. A search is underway for at least 2 suspects, and police released a photo of a white SUV they believe was involved in the alleged crime. Police said at least one suspect entered the house while Barkley and his family were inside, later adding that he and his family were unharmed, but, quote, obviously unsettled, as anyone would be. We'll keep an eye on that developing story. We're just getting started here on NFL Live, and glad you're with us today. The Eagles will be looking to fill the void A.J. Brown leaves behind, but Mina says Philadelphia doesn't need another A.J. They need to focus on turning lemon into lemonade. She'll explain. She's going to say it exactly like that. Plus, Cam Scatabo already flipping excited for this season. But is there another Giant who could flip this offense here? Look at this. I love our little camp storylines. Wooden thing there, okay? Some rookies already at camp, while the first group of veterans are set to arrive on Wednesday. Adam Schefter back with us now. Schefter, take us through some of the biggest camp storylines. Let's start with Aaron Donald and L.A.
Well, that is one of the biggest ones out there right now, Laura, and we are waiting to see whether Aaron Donald agrees to come out of his 2-year retirement to return to the Rams to give them a huge additional upgrade on the defensive line. Not that they already need it with Myles Garrett, but Aaron Donald has been working out pads. He wants to see if he can regain his form, get close to being the type of player he was. And if he can, then it looks like he could be back. Meanwhile, it looks like Patrick Mahomes is tracking to be back for the Monday night opener against the Denver Broncos. Nobody knows exactly how healthy he'll be at that point in time, but it would be a surprise if he were unable to make it back for that Monday night home opener that you'll be at against the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. And meanwhile, there'll be a quarterback competition this summer in Minnesota between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell has been adamant that it'll be a competition despite the fact that many people believe Kyler Murray is the favorite to win that job. However, J.J. McCarthy's had a lot of injuries the last 2 years. Let's see if he can be healthy. Let's see if he can compete for that job. And the Vikings continue to insist that it will be a competition for their starting job.
Yeah, they had to improve at that position in a big way. Last season, the Vikings averaging less than 167 yards per game passing. That's their lowest mark since 1973. It's a long time ago. Another big storyline we want to dive into in Philly this summer was the trade of A.J. Brown to New England. With their top wideout gone, all eyes turned to first-round pick Makai Lemon, who has missed minicamp with an injury. Lemon told the Philadelphia Inquirer that he will be 100% ready for camp when it starts on July 29th. Lemon was on the Phillies broadcast this week and was asked about playing alongside Devontae Smith.
Just seeing how he works, being a veteran guy, especially a receiver that I can look up to, each and every day, just seeing how he works. So, it's been good.
You guys are gonna be fast. I mean, you two are gonna be fast.
Yeah, we got to. We got to.
I mean, I think a lot of fans were like, all right, well, Makai Lemon's just going to slot into the A.J. Brown spot and take all of his reps this season. Is it that simple?
No, I think Devontae Smith takes more of the A.J. Brown usage in terms of becoming more of a threat on the perimeter. But Makai Lemon to me is really important because he fills a lot of the gaps that were